Alright, y'all. We got a video from Jimmy High Roller. This is changing the NBA right in front of our eyes. And yeah, let's check it out. Wonder what it could be. Could it be the 3-point shot? Maybe it's like the fouls?
In 1996, the NBA introduced a new metric for data tracking that would revolutionize the league. Shooting location data. This new information provided far more than the basic data that we had had for decades. Shot location data tracked specific instances on the court, like exactly where a shot was taken, if a shot came from an assist, or if a shot attempted at the rim was a layup or a dunk. At the time, this data was groundbreaking and spawned a new wave of analytics in the NBA. For the first time, we could actually use numbers and data to take a deeper look into what was happening throughout NBA games. Fortunately, this game-changing data was implemented just in time to track Michael Jordan's last 2 seasons with the Bulls. And this new data revealed what NBA fans had already known for over a decade. Michael Jordan was a mid-range god. According to shot location data, MJ
I don't really
shot
pay that much
47.1% from
attention
mid-range,
to it
or from 10 to 23 feet from the
anymore,
basket
but when I was
in his
younger,
last 2
I was
seasons
all
with the
about the
Bulls.
stats, bro.
Now, this number may not sound all that impressive,
all about it,
but among
bro.
the 80 players
Now
who
I
attempted
don't really
at least 3
I don't
mid-range
really know
shots
what
per
people
game
are
throughout those
averaging. I
2
gotta
seasons,
constantly look
Michael
it up,
Jordan was
'cause
the best and most efficient.
I don't keep up with
if
it
all
like
the other
that, but
statistics the NBA has to offer weren't sufficient enough, shot location data proved once again that Michael Jordan was in a league of his own. This is the gold standard. Well, at least it used to be, because we still use shot location in today's NBA. And this season, among all players who have attempted at least 3 mid-range shots per game, there are 22 players league-wide who have a mid-range field goal percentage higher than Michael Jordan's was. Today's NBA players are really good at shooting the ball. In fact, they're so good, it's changing the game in ways we could have never imagined.
Players nowadays, they shoot the mess out of it. It's crazy.
Today's video is sponsored by DraftKings. December 25th is quickly approaching. You know what that means. NBA on Christmas. But you don't need to be on...
Thank you. Thank you very much. I know you gotta make your money. But we got our time. We got time on our hands.
Partner of the NBA. Have you ever heard of the phrase, shooter's gonna shoot? Well, since you're watching this video, I'm sure you have. Before we had players like Steph, Dame, and Clay, we had Kobe, Ray, and Peja. And before them, we had guys like Larry Bird, Derek Harper, and Dale Ellis. Shooters who you can bet are gonna shoot their shot. The shooter is one of the most game-altering roles in basketball. The shooter can turn a double-digit lead into a tie game in absolutely no time at all. The shooter has the ultimate green light. But what happens when everyone in the league is the shooter? In past eras of the NBA, the shooter was a very specific, very defined role that was given to only the most elite shot makers in the game. But what happens when everyone is an elite shot maker? What if I told you that about 80% of the greatest shooters in NBA history are all in the NBA right now?
Did he say 80%?
Like I know. But it's true.
He said 80%,
bro. As the NBA continues to evolve, the ability to be a great shooter will be less of an exception and more of a requirement.
It's just crazy to think about.
As we all know, the league has been going through a 3-point revolution over the last 8 seasons or so. Teams and players realized the massive advantage that 3-pointers provide, and very quickly the desire to be proficient at the long ball became priority number 1. Players practiced the shot more, teams built entire offenses around the shot, and the efficiency of the shot skyrocketed around the league. Since the 3-point shot was added to the NBA, the benchmark for what we consider to be a good 3-point shooter has been about 40%. And this benchmark has virtually remained the standard ever since. But dating back to 1990, the number of players around the league who have shot at least 40% from 3 has fluctuated drastically, from as low as 7 players in 1991 to as high as 28 players in 1996.
Look at this.
But the 3-point line was 2 feet shorter that season, so those numbers are skewed. As we make our way through recent NBA history, the number of players capable of shooting 40% or more from 3 rises all the way up to 38 players in 2009, but then plummets back down to 17 the very next season. That total of 38 players would remain the league record for over a decade. That is until a record-shattering 50 players averaged at least 40% from 3 in 2021.
Bro, get out, bro.
And then again...
Bro, get out, bro. There's no way. 50 players shot at least 40% from 3? No way, bro. There's no way. You're telling me 1/8 of the league, right? 1/8, there's like around 400 players in the NBA, 300 something. there's 300 or 400 something players. I'm gonna say there's over 400. So you're telling me, oh my gosh, wait. You're telling me like 1 out of every 8 players roughly, not exactly, but 1 out of every 8 or 9 players in the league is shooting at least 40% from 3? Oh my gosh, bro, this is ridiculous. And kids nowadays, everyone's shooting the 3. Younger, like kids nowadays, everyone's shooting it, bro. Everyone is shooting it. It's crazy.
This season,
Bigs
where 45 players are currently exceeding what was once the benchmark number of 40%. The number of pure shooters in the NBA right now is absolutely absurd. But what if we remove the players that achieve their efficiency with minimal attempts? If we bump the minimum to at least 4 3-point attempts per game, well then our chart looks like this. And the overwhelming number of great shooters that are currently in the NBA right now becomes even more glaring.
That's
Unfortunately,
crazy.
for a lot of players in the past, shooting volume three-pointers just wasn't an option. It was far from normal to take 5, 6, 7 threes a game 35 years ago. But that's just it. The revolution of three-pointers in recent NBA history has allowed more players to become the shooter. But it's also allowed the shooter to have a much, much larger role from game to game. Before Steph Curry came along and blew the gates open on what kind of shooting we even thought was possible, Ray Allen was widely regarded as the greatest three-point shooter of all time.
Yeah, and you know what? Ray Allen, when I was younger, Ray Allen was my favorite player. He was my favorite player at one point.
He averaged 38% from 3 on 7.5 three-point attempts per game. Just like Michael Jordan with his mid-range,
7.5 sounds like a lot.
His exceptional efficiency on volume
the highest
shooting
amount of
was the
three-point
gold
attempts
standard
I've
for
taken in
all
a game
shooters
is like
to aim
10,
for.
I think.
This, however, is no longer the case.
I think it was
because
10.
currently there are 11 players around the league who are all averaging a higher three-point percentage on more three-point attempts per game over the last 5 seasons than Ray Allen did during his run as the best shooter on the planet. Shot location data has revealed that the NBA is not a big man's league like it once was. It isn't a league that prides itself on defense or even versatility or teamwork for that matter. The NBA is a shooter's league, and this trend can even be seen in the efficiency of free throws. The simplest shot in all of basketball, a shot that literally has the word free in its name, has been optimized far more now than it ever has been. This season, there are 16 players averaging at least 90% from the free throw.
That's a lot. Don't you think? Is it just me, or does that looks like I feel like that's a lot. 16 players in the league shooting at least 90% from the free throw line? That seems like a lot.
Line. Go back just 10 years ago to the 2012-2013 NBA season, and the number of players
see, I'm like, that looks like a lot of, that's like a lot of people, bro.
In fact, we don't have to go back very far to find seasons where the 90% threshold was reserved for only 1 or 2 players in any given season. Back in the 80s, the title of the league's best shooter was held exclusively by Larry Bird. Despite the game evolving drastically since Bird's retirement 3 decades ago, he is still regarded as one of the greatest shooters to ever lace up. And throughout Bird's career, he led the league in free throw percentage 4 times. In one of those seasons, Bird shot better than anyone else in the entire NBA when he shot 88.8% from the line in 1984. This season alone, there are 22 players who are shooting at least 88.8% from the free throw line.
That's crazy.
What was once a free throw rate good enough to lead the league, now wouldn't even crack
I shot
the top
80% from the free throw line my senior year,
Only
and I
through
thought I
decades
was a good
of
free
trial
throw
and
shooter.
error have NBA teams discovered
80%.
which shots are worth taking and which shots are not. Combine offensive schemes designed
so many
to
guys
get
shooting
open
over
shots
90%,
with the most
that's
talented
crazy.
shooters in NBA history.
It's like
And players
automatic
around the
for
league
some
are
guys
simply
now.
hitting far more shots than ever before. Now, one of the more popular advanced stats is offensive rating. This stat simply measures how many points a team scores per 100 possessions. It's an efficiency stat. When a team brings the ball down the court, how often are they scoring? In the 1999-2000 season, the most efficient offense in the entire NBA was held by the Indiana Pacers, who had an offensive rating of 108.5. This season, the Charlotte Hornets are the least efficient offensive team in the entire NBA with a rating of 108.7.
What?
The worst offensive team in the NBA today is more efficient than the best offensive team in the NBA just 2 decades ago. In today's NBA,
That's
we are
insane,
constantly
bro.
seeing point totals well over 120,
That's
even 130
insane.
at times. After watching the dead ball era for over a decade where a team could win a game after scoring just 80 points, seeing 250 points scored in a single NBA game on a regular basis can be a bit jarring. The most common explanation for these insane point totals being that teams
and
just
we see it all the
don't
time
play
now.
defense anymore. And
I've said it in videos,
true,
like
a lack of intense, disciplined defense is
like
not
teams
nearly
are
the largest
scoring
factor
so
that
much
leads to these
nowadays
point
in the
totals.
league.
At a certain point, good offense is going to beat good defense. So what happens when the entire league slowly becomes more and more unguardable? Eventually,
and here's the thing, it's like the NBA favors
with this level of
offense,
efficiency.
because that's what
80%
the majority of
shooters in
people
NBA
who watch the
history
NBA want
are
to
all
see,
in
I'm
the
sure, is
NBA right
offense,
now.
right?
Not because they're innately better shooters than past players, but because in order to even play in today's NBA, this level of elite shooting has virtually become a requirement.
Yeah,
Young stars
you
around
basically
the league,
have
players
to
who are
shoot.
21, 22, 23, were just kids when the three-point revolution began.
In order to,
these players have only known a
play in
game
the
that
league,
revolved
pretty
around
much.
volume threes and long jumpers. So where past players
it's the
didn't
floor
hone in on their
spacing,
shooting
you know?
abilities until later on in
For
their
floor
careers,
spacing
these young players
reasons.
have been trained to knock down the deep ball from the minute they picked up a basketball. By the time Steph won his first MVP, players like Tyler Hero, Jordan Poole, John Morant, Darius Garland, Anthony Simons, Anthony Edwards were just starting their prep careers. By the time they had made it to the league, they already had more long-range reps than past players would get in an entire career. Today's NBA is built for the shooter because it was designed by the shooter. Years and years ago, Larry Bird was the
Designed by the
blueprint.
shooter.
In a league where getting the ball into the post was an absolute necessity, he showed us that three-pointers were actually worth taking. Reggie Miller and Ray Allen were the next iteration of the shooter. No longer was the shot reserved for just spot-up shooters a handful of times a game, but you could take the shot off the dribble. You can pull up from three in an ISO situation. You can take them in volume and not be crucified for doing so. And players like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Damian Lillard, and Kevin Durant
Everybody's
took
shooting
shooting
it
to a
now.
whole new
It's crazy.
level. A shot from 30 feet out was no longer a last-second heave, but now an actual, real shot attempt. They proved that you can win a championship led by not big men, but by shooters. And they spawned an entire generation of shot makers unlike anything the league has ever seen. And with that being said, I'd like to leave y'all with this. Back in 1988, a player named Michael Adams broke new ground in the
Championship
NBA. At the time, Michael was a young point guard in his third season in the league, playing for the Denver Nuggets. Now, Michael wasn't what you would call a sharpshooter, especially by today's standards. But that didn't stop Michael from doing what no other player had done before. Because in that season 35 years ago, Michael attempted 4.6 three-pointers per game. Nearly half of his total shot attempts each game came from beyond the arc. This was the first
like he
time since
kinda had
the
like a
introduction of the three-point line that a
interesting
player
shot.
shot at least 4 threes a game.
set shot?
He didn't know it at the time, but Michael Adams was the NBA's first volume three-point shooter. And since that season 35 years ago, there have been a total of 255 individual seasons where a player has maintained a true shooting percentage of at least 60% while attempting at least 4 threes a game.
That's crazy.
35 years of thousands of shooters condensed to just 255 of the very best the NBA has ever had to offer. Of those 255 seasons, 178 of them came from players who are currently in the NBA. The National Basketball Association
crazy.
is a shooters league, and
Yeah.
today's shooters are in a league of their own. Hope you all enjoy.
No kidding.
And as
Hey,
always,
no kidding.
Until
Hey,
next time.
no kidding about that. No kidding about that. Hey, no kidding about that. Today's shooters in a league of their own. Hey, that's a fact. Players nowadays shoot the mess out of it. Step back threes, side step threes, fadeaways from three, pulling up from nearly half court is ridiculous. So, some of these guys, man. Hey, but let me know what you guys thought about this video. Another great one from Jimmy High Roller. And yeah, I mean the 3-point shot is just crazy, man. It's just crazy. Yeah, that's all I gotta say.